Alright, welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone. This week I am Elan.
Oh, fuck. This week I'm the gun devil. Maybe those two need to meet up. I'm not saying. I'm just saying have a conversation. Not nothing else.
So, let's, what do we even start with?
Well, we kind of sort of backed up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can kind of ease into things. You know, Mob Psycho is doing its thing the last couple of weeks. I think.
Yeah, I've seen some screen caps from that. It looks like it's like popping off for the most part.
Oh yeah. When folks start talking about when the budget kicks in, but Mob Psycho is an art piece, so typically the production's pretty solid. But I like that the theme of the last couple episodes is all about friendship and people changing goals, people feeling left out, but it's done through the lens of a really cool fight conversation. It's literally talk no jutsu at one level, but it's one of the most satisfying things that the show has produced visually and music wise and everything else. So Mob versus Dimple, but Dimple in his like perfect form, which in a way is also kind of a homage to a lot of other shonen battle series, but obviously it's Mob Psycho, so the underlying vibe is still comedy, and it's good comedy, and it's also emotional. So if you haven't seen it, I would just say check it out. Especially the last couple of episodes have been fantastic. Kind of makes me think, not really what could be, but when One Punch Man comes back, I hope that
it gets the same level of
yeah.
Well, it's a new studio again for season 3, right?
Yeah, and I'm not totally sure all the names that are associated with that studio. My belief is that some of the folks who were in the key animation positions from season 1 have joined that studio. I don't necessarily know who that is. It could be people who may have had more minor roles on some episodes. Just that was the sort of news about the studios, that it was a lot of veterans were coming in to support that. So I think it'll be fine. I don't even really think like season 2 was bad, but I think compared to what a lot of people were introduced to, kind of got them expecting what they. Mob Psycho's been the other end of that because it's been pretty consistent and getting better over its run. So
yeah. Listen, you watched Mob. Still recommend everyone watch Villainess. It's just getting better and better every episode. Awesome. Yeah, I mean it's definitely goofy in certain parts, but I just really like the pacing of the show. It's moving the fuck along, and they're not staying on things being like, oh, my feelings are hurt. It's immediate, next scene, deal with it, and we're off to the races. We're seeing little things, and apparently there's a mastermind beyond what's going on, everything, all kind of stuff like that. I just like how they're twisting the characters from the traditional game and making all of the villains the heroes and the heroes the villains through their like character flaws that they had in the game, but they weren't highlighted because they were the heroes, so they never were in those situations for those things to boil over time. But now they're the ones on the receiving end of just all the like misfortune and just like shitty things, or they're not and they're actually narcissists. So I highly recommend that. What else
I did take a look at the first episode of Akiba Maid Wars just to understand what it was, because I had no conception of what the show's sort of subject matter was. I knew it was kind of comedic, but I wasn't totally sure how comedic it was. It's cool. It's a cool show. It's not necessarily for me, but I remember my feeling watching it was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, like if I had more time, I would get to it. Yeah.
I haven't watched that yet, but I was planning to cover it on my stuff, but apparently the copyright police are like hardcore.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not going to help any of the watch along people then.
Yeah, no. But I heard that it's like really entertaining and good. I mean, we have lots to say about specific things, but I'm just getting the little shit out of the way.
Sure. So like Shinobi no Ittoki,
I really just like
it. Yeah, it's like I would say when we put like grades on things, this is not like an objective grade of how I enjoy it, but it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like a C plus B minus production. It's not like a huge budget. It's not necessarily like groundbreaking in a lot of ways, but it's fun when it kind of leans more into the allegory it plays with, which is the decline of the Japanese countryside and small business. Like that's what the core of the story really is about. Everything else is just fantasy around that to make it more exciting. But there were a couple of episodes that I liked that there wasn't. I mean, there was actually some pretty decent action in them, but it's not. I would not qualify this as like a shonen series in the way that you would think,
Oh.
given because the structure of it is very shonen. It's like high school age kids. I
Mm-hmm.
call it like ninja high school, right? But like the actual story that they want to tell is not a shonen story. It's more complicated than that, I guess, and very grounded in the reality of like the Japanese economy and Japanese history. But it's subtle in the right places. There's a couple of like cool reveals that we've gotten in the last couple of episodes that just make the world a little bit more interesting. But it does follow a pretty easy, basic kind of structure where there's basically two halves of the story. One half is like what the adults are doing, and one half is what the younger people are doing. So on like the high school side, it is very much a enemies become friends. We go through challenges. You learn about the ninja world through the lens of your fish out of water character. There's cute girls, but it's really not a harem. There's no harem shenanigans. It's just
Yeah.
kind of regular vibe shit. And then when you go over to the adult side, it's all blood vengeance, ninja, this and that. And then they introduce the government into it, and it just made me laugh because it's so much like a not quite a parody, somewhere between allegory and parody, where like the when the government agents come in, they have ninja suits, but the ninja suits are like they look like business suits, like when they transform.
Oh.
Like there's like a female like lieutenant character who's like the new person, the new inspector, and when she transformed into her ninja gear, it looked like a government business suit cut for a woman, but it wasn't a joke. It wasn't like played for a laugh or anything like that. So I saw like little things. There's like little details here that are fun. So if you just want to have fun, and you kind of turn off your brain a little bit, I think you can learn something about Japanese culture, society, actually watching the show. But if you don't care, it doesn't really hurt the experience, and it's easy. It's an easy watch. So that's sort of where I've been at. Like, I'll pick up an episode, not when it drops. I usually get to it a few days later, and it's something pleasant 25 minutes, and I'm on to the rest of my life. No big deal.
Hmm. Sounds promising for a marathon. Maybe not so
Yeah,
much
I would get to it
a
later.
weekly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it. There's no hype at all. So
Yeah, I see no one covering it. Speaking
yeah,
of hype,
hmm.
well, that could be multiple things. But how are you enjoying Blue Lock?
Blue Lock is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It kind of has settled into a little more of like a rhythm in like the last 3 episodes because they kind of got to get through the tournament related stuff.
Yeah.
So we're not getting a lot of content outside of the soccer field, where like the first few episodes were kind of all about that. How do you like the direction of how they're like introducing the different teams? I know that we will talk about like the plot twists that we got in the last couple episodes, which I think is a good thing. But in general, what's your read on, let's say, episodes like 4 through 6?
I'm loving all of it, to be honest. I like the tournament style stuff, and I like the pacing. I was worried that they were gonna make like a big deal out of the rest of the match with Team Y, the ones with the red. I thought they were gonna draw that out for like a whole other episode. Nope, they wrapped it up. We're moving on. We've got the subplot of Chigiri, like, in his head, afraid to snap his fucking knee again. Completely understandable. And then they introduce the new people. Tell us what their supposed style is, and then they go at it. And as far as the most recent episode, they got my ass up until a certain point. But I don't know, just I can't really tell where it's going. But then when things happen in the show and I look back on the previous episodes, I'm like, oh, can see that. Definitely noticed this. So it's not as though what you say like with Shinobi no Itoki, like it's not thought provoking. It's just that sometimes you're just so like interested in other things that the authors dropped it there. You even dropping hints, but you're so hype about what the fuck's going on right now, you're not even paying attention to that character. And that's how I felt with the reveal this time around, because it all made sense. And also, well, we don't have to get to that point yet, but the one thing I would like to see more of is Bakira. The way they played Bakira up, I thought he was going to have a much bigger role. And I don't know if that's coming like later or whatever, but I thought that like he and Isagi were going to be like two-tone in like all of it. And it's still more so open to the rest of the team. And I think there's going to be like the group of 4. So like Chigiri, Isagi, Super Buff Boy, and Bakira. Right. I feel like those 4 are going to be the core cast. But I don't know. I just wanted more Bakira, especially after what he gave us in episode 2. I was like, oh, okay, so he's going to be playing with you and maybe also testing you. No. But given what they've done with all the characters so far, I'm like, it's only a matter of time, I feel, until we get his backstory, what he is. Or he could just be flat as fuck and be like, nigga, I'm just crazy. Like, and I like to play soccer. It could be that.
You know what's funny? When you break down the actual individual reactions of the kids who are on Team Z, their sort of backstories and stories are all incredibly normal for a and I think that's probably true realistically of like every character on the show, with maybe like Ego and some of the adults, because if I really think if I rack my brain, why does the show kind of work the way that it does? So the kids are all just like, they're just youth soccer players. The issues that they're dealing with are pretty normal, with Chigiri, he got hurt. So it's like, oh, I'm worried about re-injuring myself. There's nothing like deeper to that, I assume. Yeah. He has some bullies and they're kind of like picking on him because he was whatever on their team. Yeah, but it's like this is not like over the top as you might think. What is like Isagi's thing, right? Even all of his sort of like inner monologue and his problems are all just pretty basic. I don't really know what I'm good at. How do I get better at seeing the soccer field? Is passing as an ability good or bad? How do I get my team to get... There's no fantasy. There's no like magic. There's no like anything. It's actually all surprisingly grounded. And then all the adult role models, to the extent that they're not real figures like in real life. So we talked about like was it Lionel Messi or Ronaldo? I remember who they were talking about, but like these are all real sports figures, and they're not making them out to be magical. They're just like actual people who play soccer and are good at it, and here's what they're good at. So when you boil it all down, the presentation of like what happens in a game so far in the tournament is like really over the top, but it's over the top in a way that doesn't feel annoying. The two brothers.
Is this what it's like to watch regular sports? Because
what's funny? I sometimes bring this up like before, let's say like a football game comes on or a basketball game. You'll get the pre-show where they try to tell you a story. Why should you be invested in this game? Okay, here's the records of the teams. Here's what they're playing for. Here are the players on the team who are going to match up on each team. They're going to match up against each other. This is, someone's injured. Someone's this. How are they going to overcome this thing or that thing? Like that's so it washes over you as a sports fan. Yeah. But from it's still television, and so that it's real sports is produced to be as dramatic as possible because that's what gets people invested in games. Now, is it like stop cutting on LeBron James's eyes as he zooms in on a thing down the court? No. And you could do that in a movie, but obviously you can't do it in a live sports production. Yeah. But to be fair, I didn't see really anything in Blue Lock aside from some of the wacky things they allow on the rule side.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything so far that's like stretches the credulity of what you might allow someone to do on a soccer field for the purpose of getting better. It's still an absurd concept to be like, you'll never play for the national team if you lose some shitty ass game in a weird facility
that you
once.
had no previous thought, like, knowledge of.
Right, exactly. Or that, and we'll get to the twist, but you can play an unbalanced game because somebody made a decision to like not play with you anymore. Like all that stuff is that's the fantasy. But it's not anything anybody is doing. Even look at the skills on like Team Z. One dude, what's his ability? I can jump kind of high.
I can jump high.
I can dribble well.
I can move really fast immediately.
I can. Yes, I'm speedy and I can run. Like you write it on paper, these are just normal things that people can do. They're not. It's not like even like Kuroko no Basuke when they get into all like he's in the zone and now he's like teleporting. He's a wizard. It's like no. It's just high school kids playing basketball, like, and in this case, it's just high school kids playing soccer. But the animation is good, and you know, I root for the main character. He ain't OP, but he's not trash.
He's not,
and he's
trash.
Not like crying all the time.
He's not OP. He's not trash, and he's actually trying to like, I don't know. To be honest, him trying to make friends with Shigiri, I'm like, nigga, he don't want to be your friend. Like, fuck off. Like,
yeah.
Like,
that part is super basic.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reality is like that's what kind of holds the show together is that the drama ain't that dramatic.
Yeah.
It's just like anybody can understand what's happening here. So
and it's a typical shonen trope also.
Oh god, yeah.
It's so typical, but at the same time, it's just like when those soccer matches happen, they just make it look so engaging and good and just like hype. They do hype really well, and they don't necessarily like build it up from the previous episode because they aren't really like thinking about the other teams as like huge juggernauts or anything like that, because everyone else is just now seeing what the other teams can do. So it's fun. I look forward to it every Saturday. I will say I've been looking forward to it more than Spy Family for the past few Saturdays, but that's because Spy Family is less so about like its plot right now and more so just about like, you know, one-off things that are canon, I believe. But
oh yeah, 100%. And I actually had a lot of fun with the last 2 episodes.
I fucking hated that Spy guy. Oh my god, I hated his ass so much. Woo! He got on my nerves. And then it tied into this episode too.
It did, yeah. So I guess we can move over to Spy Family.
Oh well, we'll lock the twist. So
right, we didn't talk about that. So in episode 6, we find out that Kuon was collaborating with another team to basically throw the game. But now I'm gonna say one thing. I buy everything that's going on. I got irritated when they realized what the plan was.
No one fought him.
Not just that nobody fought him, but like I don't imagine that the main character should be shocked that like, oh, he got 3 goals. How could he, he's going to be able to stay on what we did. That should have been the first thing in his head. Like putting 2 and 2 together. They let him score. Now he's the top scorer on the team. They're going to get bounced because they lose after the game. He stays on. But it was like they had to do the like, this is my dastardly plan moment. But it just went on to...
That frame of him like smiling.
His face, yeah.
Oh, shit. I was like, oh, this nigga's a problem. This nigga's a problem. He's a problem.
You know when they make that face, they gotta go, right? Like that's always...
Which also makes it more interesting for me now going forward, because I want to know if you niggas, if they overcome that, what they will, they'll overcome it some way, in some fashion. Mm-hmm. The nigga stays on the team. So
no. I don't know if that's true.
So but then that also puts them at a disadvantage because
I think they're gonna get that the other kid from the other. Remember, like, so the top scorers stay on, but the whole team drops. I wonder if they'll just move somebody from one of the teams that we already met.
Oh, I didn't even consider that. So maybe they can't get rid of his ass.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways they could write their way out of being short a player. So I'm not so worried about that part. It's just the moment.
But they can't kick him out of Blue Lock as a team. Like, he has to lose his way out.
They'll say that he joined the other team and that team lost, and since both teams were on the bubbles,
and he declared it.
He loses with the other team. So that's possible. That's one way to do it. But I think what is funnier is if they decide to remove that character and bring in somebody, would they go from the well of players we've already met inside of their group, or would it be from another group to spice things up, like another set of the teams that are playing?
Cells.
Yeah, and you got to have some betrayal, like that. They did set the stage for this.
I'm surprised it came so early.
We don't have a lot of episodes, right? We're just getting the 12, so we're at episode 6.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, just for whatever the season is, like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we're just getting the 12, and there might be a break. But either way, this would be the time to, like, remind the audience that some of you, like, if you get invested in a character, they could just be out. So, I think it's a good idea to come up with a scenario like this where they can kick out a character but have them be a villain and have them create a situation that they've got to overcome. Again, not complaint, just my hope is that if as they sort of like get through all of the team and we've met all the people, I want to see more of the soccer, but from a high, like an elevated level, because Isagi's ability is supposed to be that he can see the field. But one thing the show sometimes doesn't really do is show you the field. Like, they'll do a lot of cuts where you'll get, like, 3 or 4 guys in a certain area doing something. But, like, to really understand and teach the game, which is what I think the show is trying to do, it does help when they do those shots of, like, okay, here's where everybody on the team is. Like, they had one in this episode where I think it was when the brothers were in the second half when they came back. And they were just like running through their defense, and Isagi may have called it out that like, oh, we were too far forward, and now they're pushing, and that high level shot of the soccer field and showing where everybody is and why this is a bad thing, stuff like that. I enjoy that a lot, but I think it's also very important because if you don't understand soccer and you're not following what's happening on the show as closely, it could just come off as scenes of guys with ball, but not necessarily like what is the relationship between
where
a thing that happened before and now
compared to everything else.
And they've removed a lot of the rules, so like offside is like a really important thing and a hard thing to understand in soccer, and I think that each game they're kind of like reintroducing more structure back into the presentation, because remember was it episode 5 or 6 when they called out that something should have been he slide tackled somebody. It's like that would have been like a yellow card, but they decide what they call and what they don't call here to the point of like letting them go 12 on 10, which is fucking crazy. So we'll see. I enjoyed it though.
Yeah. How many people? Okay, yeah. Wait, 12. So wait, how many people are on each side? 11.
It's 11 on 11.
Okay.
So if you switch one, it becomes 12 versus
12
10.
and 10. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, did 2 niggas swap and then blah 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 blah? No. Quick maths.
Quick maths. Funny. I heard that song in a legit commercial like yesterday on television.
What song?
What is it? That comedian's name? Who did this? The where he's like, quick maths. What's the name of that song?
Oh fuck.
2 + 2 is 4. Whatever that is.
I have no idea.
The actual song. I heard it on
I didn't know there
television.
was a song.
Oh, you didn't? Oh.
No.
Yeah, it's a British comedian, black guy, did sort of like it was like a parody song, sort of, but it got super popular, and then. Yeah, I have it on a playlist somewhere, but it's just funny because it's like a meme song, but it actually blew up because it's kind of fire. And then, like, Quick Maths just became by itself a meme, and it's so detached from the original that most people probably don't remember it. But I do, and when I heard it in the soundtrack for, like, it might have been a Samsung commercial or something, like, entertainment technology related, and I'm like listening. I'm like, bro, this guy really made it. Like, this is like when you get your song in a commercial, you get residuals for like the rest of your life.
Residuals, yeah.
That's just crazy. So, is it Big Shaq? Maybe. I don't know.
I did not know that came from a song. I've seen it used, and so I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what that means. Quick mask.
Yeah, is it from Man's Not Hot or something like that?
Man's Not Hot.
I think it don't matter. It's not. This is not important. But anyway, so what else? Spy Family is so pleasant. So pleasant.
It is. I knew George's shit was gonna go in the fucking trash immediately. Like, the moment that my favorite part of the whole, and this is just like a personal thing for me, that just because I went to music school, is niggas randomly singing in public. It boils my fucking blood so fucking much. And for Becky to start the fucking chorus, and then right on cue, Anya's like, Becky, for real? Like, I'm like, that is me. That is me in fucking public. Like, that is me. I'm like, I'm really doing this right now? Like, why the fuck are you singing? Like, what the fuck? Crazy. Like, so I felt like me and Anya were like this that episode. I was like,
do you make her face?
But I was just like, they're really not about to do this shit. And then Anya literally just says it. And I'm like, thank you. Like, this shit's so corny. It's corny. But it was entertaining. And Desmond's fucking dance, or whatever the fuck the little crazy people, first graders, like crazy people. It makes sense. It makes sense because they are kids. It's just gonna happen. But overall, past 2 episodes, shit. What happened the week before? Oh my god, that stupid spy. I hated that nigga. Oh my god, he was so dumb.
When he got to the gate, and he was like, nobody told me this was here. Like, nigga, what? Why are you here?
You think the door's just gonna lead straight to the fucking, like, safe? Utter trash. And the fact that they start the next episode with saying that homeboy
I actually loved, because when I got out of that last episode, I'm like, okay, so this guy's just gonna be like the comically bad foil to Lloyd, but like legitimately he was hired by an organization. Oh, and in my head I'm like, don't make them fucking buffoons. But of course, when we find out the next episode that he was the level of spy that kid could afford with his pocket money.
Yes.
And that makes sense.
Yes.
That part, totally, I'm sold.
Yeah. From the super old butler who could barely fucking speak. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Made all the sense. What else? Yours thing was cute. I think Lloyd still has some stuff about, like, not trust. I mean, he should not. Neither of them should trust each other. But whatever. Right. He's like, why is she at school? Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna follow her. Da, 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 da. And I think I don't think he's realized it yet that he actually does care about them. He's always just being like, the mission. I have to do this for the mission. It's just like, no, nigga, you. But
it is a little. But you're right. That's more natural. His reaction to things is a lot more natural.
Yeah, it's not like a knee jerk. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do, so I'm just gonna do something. What else happened?
So there is a character that's going to be coming that got previewed in the next episode that I think. Now I don't know what the length of that arc related to that character is, but since we're at like the halfway point, I'm going to assume it's like a 3-episode thing, and I think it's going to kick things up a notch, at least as far as like the aspects of the drama and the sort of like romance piece.
That was something else that I was saying. They haven't kissed yet.
No. No.
Yeah. There has been no romantic progression between Lloyd and Yor at all. And I was wondering, is that going to come back? Or maybe? Yes, no? We'll see.
Well, I know that some aspects of... Well, okay. So, full disclosure, I'm not reading the manga. But I think that I've been spoiled... Not like in a heavy way, but in like a light way, as far as like where they are at right now. And and it's not a ton of chapters. I think maybe like in the 70s or 80s. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. So it's not like there's a ton of total material.
Yeah.
But many months ago, I think when we knew that this season was coming, I think it had just been announced, and I was talking to somebody, and they had mentioned that like something was happening on the romance end finally at that time. So that, couldn't have been but like, a dozen or so chapters, from today going back. So I presume that they're kind of falling into it a little bit, but the show kind of, and the story needs to be able to veer in and out of that, because the moment you kind of commit to wrapping that piece up, you're kind of getting to the end of the actual story.
Yeah.
So so it is going to be very, if you're expecting by the end of this season that they're going to be hugged up,
no.
The Spy Family ain't, this ain't cuffing season, That's not what this is.
No. This is slice of life, whatever. I definitely not. Not shonen? No, shonen parody.
Yeah.
No.
You're gonna have to wait till like they get through the whole mission. At the very end, you'll get something there. So don't be like holding up like this season. Nah, bro.
Yeah, but just some progress. I'd like to see some progress.
Yeah, one thing that is worth noting is that we're on episode 20, in total. I think we're coming up on episode. This is episode 19.
19, we did, yeah.
Yeah, and then the next one will be 20. I think we've only gotten up to around chapter 30 of the manga, so they are taking their time.
Wow!
Yeah,
okay.
They're taking their time. Because I remember we talked about this like a month ago, or maybe not quite, maybe a few weeks ago, where there was maybe it was episode 3 that was just literally like two.
Yeah,
it was two halves, but they were like
that.
one shots that were in the manga that were like one chapter. It was like half the chapter was like this short story, the other half of the chapter was this other one, and I was like in my head, I'm like, yeah, they're kind of taking their time with this, and they're kind of squeezing everything they can out of things. So I think that they're gonna meander around, which is good, because if they were going with the usual clip, they'd be at maybe like chapter 60, which is exactly where the series kind of is right now.
Well, yeah, take your time, let it get ahead, because it's not on a weekly schedule, is it?
It's sort of like all the web,
the online.
Yeah, all the web ones. They're not bi-weekly. They're sort of like when they come out, and it could be every week. I remember when I was reading or catching up on Kaiju 8. And I got to the end, and I was like, okay, now I'm going weekly. And then sometimes it would be like 8 days. Sometimes it would be 6. Sometimes they go off for like 12. So they kind of have a looser schedule with the web releases, which, actually I think is just a lot better. And also the chapters aren't,
ready.
And they're not constrained to being only like 16 pages or 15 drawn pages. They can be more, or they can be less, or they can have like a lot more special illustrations, because like Kaiju 8 and Spy Family, if you read the releases, there's a lot of omake content that they attach to some chapters. It'll look like you'll be like 24 pages, what the fuck, and it's like 3 or 4 of them are special illustrations by the author or the editor team. So it's cool. It's cool stuff.
Cool. Speaking of auditors and editors, whatchamacallit, My Hero Academia assistant homeboy drawing Megan Thee Stallion Halloween.
Yo, he's a fan, bro.
Oh my god, he's a fan.
He's a fan.
I'm pretty sure they were like going crazy when she was that Halloween costume. She looked great. Oh my god.
It's a mutual admiration society going on, which is very good. I was getting a little like, whenever the subject of how deep Megan is into the anime community comes up, people start acting fucking weird. And luckily, it was toned down a little bit here because it was good energy coming from the other direction.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
people were
racist.
noting. Yeah, they were noting that, like, the streams have crossed both ways, where she's done some cosplay, then one of his it's not an editor, it's a support, what do you call it? The supporting assistant. There we go. It's one of the assistants. That he posted some shit, and then she liked that shit, and then she recreated something from there. So when you get like that level of interaction. It's kind of hard for people to wedge themselves in to go have weird conversations about
and be like, oh, she doesn't belong in this community.
This stupid gatekeeping shit. Like, it's just harder. So there was less of it, and it was cool, and I want more.
I didn't see any of it. Then good. There should be none, but people go bitch regardless.
Yeah, I'm just ignoring whatever negativity is there. I'm just ignoring it because, man, I like the crossover.
Wait, is there anything else? Oh shit! Okay, Chainsawman. Let's talk about Chainsawman. Yeah, did you watch? You watched last week. Oh well, you already know everything that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So whatever. Blah blah blah.
Well, I like that this part where they're starting to introduce the gun devil. So I know that like some of the reaction to it was like people saying, "Oh, this is like Jujutsu Kaisen." It's like they eat the bullets or the leftover pieces of him,
or
and they get his powers.
In different devils all around the place,
right? And it kind of looks that way. And then like the structure of the episode was that they were like hunting for a devil that may have like ingested, which is like, oh, we're looking for Sukuna fingers now. Like I understand that reaction because it is a similar concept, but you gotta understand like it's all these mangaka. Yeah, A, it's not first. B, Chainsaw Man is as much a sort of meta commentary on a lot of other similar things in the same genre. So like, it's not by accident. It's not like, oh no, he thought nobody was gonna notice that. No, this is
that is Jujutsu Kaisen's like core plot. Like, I feel like this is just gonna be an arc. And that's correct.
I mean, there's like some pieces of it that like go forward, but that's not the structure of the show. And it doesn't matter anyway. Like, it could, even if it was, right? It is an homage. It's not theft. And there's a reason for it. So
I think the reason why they're saying that is because, I mean, from what I've seen as far as the fans, it's my way or the highway. So they're probably just like, oh, it's from my thing, my show. I saw my show do it first, so like my show owns it. And like you said, they're tropes. They're like things everyone uses them.
Right. Oh, it's like when you watch, anything and there's like, oh, that was in One Piece, or that feels like it was inspired by something Oda put. Yes, motherfucker. That's on purpose.
Oh my god, it reminds me of the Sasuke thing that was going on. They were just like, Sasuke's the blueprint for so many of these new characters. And niggas was like, did you not know that Kishimoto literally said that Sasuke's based off of Hiei? Like, yeah. Like, y'all talking out your ass. Like, wow. But
and it's again, none of these things are problems. They're actually great. Yeah. It's like what's weird to me is because I know like niggas don't read books, and so and they feel like everything is brand new. Like, I have realized that for the first time, authors and creatives show love to each other and classic material by remixing it in the new stuff that they do and putting their spin on it. Like, hello, that's what art is. It's just a long conga line going all the way back into the mist of history. You share the stuff that you're writing, drawing, performing today has a direct line all the way back to like the first, people to ever put together a public performance of anything.
I mean, look at like Cannon Busters and Yasuke. Like,
fair enough. Yeah, that's fair.
Influence. Yeah. Like, they heavily influenced by, anime and specific tropes. And now, just because it fell flat doesn't mean that
right. This is not about like the objective quality of the production. It's just that's how creative things happen. You read a bunch of stuff, you watch a bunch of stuff, you say, oh, I like this, I like that, I think this is cool, I don't want to do that, and then you do your own little remix, and like if it's strong enough, it'll stand on its own and kind of have its own, it's something that's internally consistent and supportive, and fans will attach to that thing like it is unique. And if it's not successful, then it just becomes like part of the canon of whatever the tropes and ideas that you took. It's like when you go and look at knockoff like kaiju movies, right? If the movie sucks, people will just think of it as one of those knockoff Godzilla movies. because they all kind of live in some category. But if it's like really good, well, all of a sudden it's like Pacific Rim. It can be its own IP that stands by itself, does its own. And again, doesn't mean it's better. It just means that it gets to live on its own without being like hooked to the original source material with like like an IV bag in the hospital, like that shit. They're sharing a kidney or something. One's keeping the other alive. Like if you do a good job. So that's I'm just pointing it out because that was some of the chatter about the Gun Devil stuff as people who didn't read the manga got introduced to the concept. It is similar, but it's similar purposefully.
Yeah.
So, overall, but I thought it was cool. Yeah.
That nigga's horny. Like, that nigga is... I feel like people talk about down bad. I think this nigga's under the earth. Like, he is... Wow. Like, wow. First of all, the breast cups
was funny. Used, that was a good punchline.
Oh, bitch. I was like, wow. And then he kept going. And I was thinking, is he gonna voice his discontent? Oh. And then they move straight from that into Makima basically being like, let me teach you about foreplay, nigga. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, whoa. And then it swaps completely to another fucking like gear. And you get Homeboy's backstory and the gun demon and like the dad. And I'm like, okay, cool. And what you said, like when the show first dropped about them like changing the tone, I definitely feel like I get like glimpses of moments where I'm just like, I feel like if I were reading this probably is way more like, out there, wacky, goofy or whatever in some kind of sense. But there are so many just like depressing scenes.
Uncomfortable moments.
Uncomfortable. Even the color palette is just like, this is not supposed to be funny. This is not a funny scene. Like,
things are just a little bit washed out. You know, it's again, this is all on purpose. The goal is to get you to be, to think that you're watching one thing, be subtly like disappointed while also being excited, like at the same time. That is a very hard feeling.
I think it's it's a draw. Yeah. I think it's a good draw because then it's like, oh, well, you're actually getting something. You're getting a different take on the same material from the same source.
I think that what it is that they achieve a certain kind of tension inside the show on a per episode basis, and it doesn't matter what the emotional direction of a scene is. So it could be straight up comedy with a gag, repeat gag, punchline finish. That could be the setup from the script point of view. But then when you witness it, you know that you're watching something that you are supposed to laugh at, and you might even laugh, but you also feel uncomfortable the whole way through. Something about it makes you uncomfortable. It's like when Denji is reaching for power, and they do the close-up on his fingernails as he's like moving his hands. Yeah. Right? Like, the whole scene ultimately is a joke, which is that, Power's baiting him, but then she doesn't really care, and she has the boob cups in. So if you knew that going in, you would know that like Denji is going to be disappointed. So his disappointment and the way in which she plays off of it, like he's obsessed with this. She does not give a single fuck and is kind of fucking with him as well. Like when she it's like 3 seconds, but when she kind of jumps over him, she throws her hand over his shoulder. She's like, yeah, that's fucking great, wasn't it? Was that so great? All right, my cat's still alive, so I'll peace out. And you see the cat like jump onto her shoulder as she sort of like winds out of the room real quick. Like that is pure that's directed for comedy. That's comedy, right? Yeah. But the whole time you were uncomfortable because Denji's being creepy. His face is like just
you can tell shit's like in the mind, just like
right. And then he's disappointed, but he doesn't know how to process it. And what he was doing was also wrong to begin with, or at least we're supposed to think that it's wrong. Yeah. So like while you're sort of taking in the gag, taking in the joke, you're also feeling incredibly uncomfortable. Just like when the Chainsaw Devil came out and he's jumping around and slicing things up, you don't really feel good about it. It's hype, but you still kind of feel uncomfortable. Because what happened right before that? They killed the dog. Hurt.
The fact that he gets hurt still, like with the chainsaws, and like it depends on the blood. I'm like, I wasn't expecting this to be a part of it. Even the fact where they were like, yeah, we reattached your arm and shit like that. I'm like, oh, so there's no like regeneration. Like you are not all powerful, my nigga. Like you can be a god also.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the bat thing too. Like,
yeah,
they take it a notch beyond what would just be pure catharsis or pure power and wish fulfillment. They take it a notch beyond it to a place that is no longer, again, it's not comfortable anymore. Whatever it is that they're doing. And I think, again, now, as a whole, if you read Chainsaw Man Part 1, that's kind of the actual vibe of the whole story put together end to end, but you only kind of realize it when you get to the middle and end of the story. Here, they're taking a lot of that emotional wavelength and pushing it forward, because if you read like the first 10 chapters, it's like you're not really sure what you're reading, but it's pretty wacky, like in a lot of ways. But I think, and maybe a better way of saying is that the actual vibe of the whole thing, they've now slid a lot of the emotional weighting that comes at the end and spread it out over the whole story in the way that it's produced, the music, like the aesthetic. So I think that's actually, I have even more respect for that, because that's the kind of thing that if you are a reader, you appreciate, because you know what happens in the story. So you already have all the subtext, so you're already going into it feeling kind of weird about things. And if you're not a reader, they're not actually doing the bait and switch on you. They're giving you what the vibes are from minute one. But since you don't know the story, you don't know why this is being presented the way that it is. And then when you get it, that aha moment will feel like you were much more built up to it, rather than I kind of had like anybody who knows what I'm talking about when the story turns. When I was reading it, I was like, oh fuck, oh no, oh. Like, that was my feeling. I think there's going to be a little bit less of that because of the vibes that they're going for here. So that's all I'm going to say. But
still looking forward to all of it, though.
It's a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed all the fucking episodes so far. I really like Power as a character. Just the chaos that she brings. I enjoy that. But, all right, what else is there?
We can talk about Eminence and Shadow.
Yeah, let's talk about Chuuni porn. Weeb fantasy porn. This is a weeb's wet dream. This show, and let me be absolutely clear, I love it. I love every fucking moment of it. I literally sit and I'm watching it. I'm just like, this is so like, nigga, what? But I'm just like, but yeah, I've actually imagined things like this before. Like, I can't even fucking lie to myself. Like, yeah, but this nigga's living it and actually doing it. And it's just like, oh my God. Like, atomic bomb magic, my nigga, in the middle of the fucking city. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm already over here. Of course you are.
I gotta say, this is the only series this season, maybe like a little bit of Mob, but I laughed out loud. That I was like, it couldn't be this dumb. They couldn't like really take this seriously.
They know what they are doing. The scene where he was like, I have to take a shit. And like from the thing where they were like
when they looked at each other, it's like, brother, we'll remember you.
Yeah. And no, they changed the animation style. They literally
did
like the whole like him reaching out, and then it went back to his face, and he went, okay, now, and I'm like, what? You can't just.
But the way he leaned into it immediately, he was just like, he's like, okay, I get out of here, dude. I gotta take a shit, and it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
And they were just like, and then he was like, just remember me. Remember the chocolate.
And then they told everybody, because everybody.
Yeah, I know. Fuck them niggas.
Yeah, I was like, these niggas. And that's why I kept thinking, I was like, why does he keep these niggas around? But then he was like, oh, I chose them. They're like the most bland. And I was like, okay.
Whatever. Most side characters.
Also, why the fuck did he have to steal a gold coin from Homegirl shit. I was like, nigga, that's your money. Like, they make that shit for you. Like,
that's what I'm saying. They're not letting go of this idea that like he is a goofy idiot.
Yeah.
They're not letting go of that. There are times when it's like it's very clear that he's not, but like they make sure in every episode multiple times to be like, you know, he doesn't need to sneak around and do any of the stuff that he's doing. He doesn't do any of this. This is a choice.
Like I like what they do because Konosuba does a very similar thing where like someone else is talking and then you hear the MCs like, huh? Wait, what?
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Like that's one of the funniest kind of like plays to do. Is just basically like give the inner monologue with just like a wait, hold on, what's going on? Hold on, that's not what I mean. So that was great. New Shadow Garden girl, cute. I'm almost positive that the redhead sister, she's gonna die.
Maybe.
Like, she's taking on too much. She's gonna die. Also, the other princess literally like attempting to murder him because he didn't want to date her.
That was good. She was like, maybe we could possibly continue this relationship, and he was like, nope. And then they cut away. You just see like the blood spatter on the wall. It's like this became a legend of the school.
And then in the next episode, you actually see his body on the fucking ground and her walking away with a smile. It's like,
yes,
okay, this is ass backwards. I'm wondering why the sister hasn't shown up that much anymore, though. But that's probably a whole other fucking thing that they're gonna explore.
So, yeah, the show has a lot of characters, but most of them don't really do anything.
No.
At least if they are, they're not really doing it on screen. And
I
think
a lot of glimpses of things, because it looked like one of the other girls that he saved was also a cursed thing.
Yeah.
And he I just guessed that because she was on the ground naked and he was doing like the magic thing. So I'm like, oh, were there multiples of them? Is that how like she found them or whatever?
So that's the thing. Like, I don't want to take this show too seriously. So I try to say, okay, if I was going to make this, what would I prioritize and what would I deprioritize? And one of the things that they deprioritize is the sort of like in the weeds world building that you would do if you were trying to like seriously create like an immersive experience. Like, okay, where did all these people come from? What's their relationship to each other? And then how are we going to get that delivered to us? So, like, answering your question, who the fuck are these people? Where they come from? Basically, at least, I don't know about the manga. I don't know. Maybe they do more in the manga. It's possible. But my guess is that do you really need to see somebody out of this cast before they are important and doing something for the plot? Probably not.
No.
Because the characters themselves are two-dimensional at best. Like, right now, if you look at his like squad of killer women, one of them we know of kind of has at least a couple of layers to it, like the elf girl, because she was the first one.
Yeah, Alpha,
right?
Yeah.
Right, but we don't have any of the time that they spent together when he was growing up. So you can kind of like jettison
and they
all
didn't even
of that.
let us know when they came back into his life. Like, they made it seem like they were just gone. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they've actually been showing up the entire time.
Right. So there's like things like that where I'm like, would I appreciate a little bit more continuity? Yes. But then I have to ask myself, why am I asking for continuity here?
Because the show gives you a false sense of like, this actually could be serious.
Almost.
And then it gives you, and then it drags your ass back real
It's like,
quick.
hold on, nigga. Like, stop. Because, like, if you just took the scene... So let's go back to, what is it, episode 5? So if you take the scene where they're in the underground laboratory sewer system, Princess B gets her ass whooped. Pretty decent, little fight scene, but you gotta know what it's there for.
Yeah.
Now, Shadow shows up. He's looking cool. He's doing his monologue. He's looking down on the bad guy. He owns him. He makes him look like a child. And then ends with the most absurd power fantasy moment. Which we need to go over in detail. But I'm just saying, like, take all that together. Like, take that as a scene. If you just plucked that out and showed it to somebody, they could probably, in their own heads, extrapolate backwards and forwards what kind of show you would expect to be attached to that scene. Oh, this is Zero, but it's in a fantasy world. Oh, this is, Ainsama, but he's like a Chuuni, right? Like, you do that in your head, and then if you think forward, you're like, okay, he's gonna stay with the princess. She's gonna become part of his little supporter harem. Da da da. None of the things that you would expect to bookend a scene like that occur in this show. Ooh, none of it happens.
And the fucking demon monster was the little girl from the second episode that he fucked up. I'm like, oh, bitch, this is fucked up in several ways. Like, it's little things like that where I'm like, what are you? Wait, because that's fucked up. But then all of a sudden you got like comedy. The fact like built that nigga a throne room on the roof of a department store.
And then that bitch fell down the stairs. And the gag was he's building her up to us with his monologue, and then right before she trips, he's like, she is the most uncoordinated, least physically gifted of all of them. Yes. And then she busts her ass and is bleeding from the face. Like, it's a joke.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a gag, but the energy is like somewhere else. I don't know what you even call that shit.
It's chaotic. I think it's chaotic, but it's good. Like, I've been so fucking entertained every single episode. Like, every time I feel like I'm going to take it serious, or I'm like, okay, this is moving in a different, it's like, no, nah, nigga. Like, this nigga is still oblivious to the world, the actual shit.
They keep you like always about to fall over. Like, you're always off balance when you're watching the show, which is cute, because that's why you don't pay too much attention to all of the massive holes in the storytelling and all the weaknesses of like the pieces that are glued together into this. Like, there are some really bad anime out there with like really bad storytelling, paper thin characters, no real motivation on the part of like, you know, any of the major plot movements, poor world building, sketchy aesthetics that sort of steal from other places but never really find anything that's their own, reuse tropes. You can go down the list of like just bad entertainment.
Yeah.
This show, Eminence and Shadow, covers up for almost all of the flaws that it has by keeping this weird energy bouncing around the whole show, where you like, just when you settle and you start thinking about, like, if it's just comedy, you're like, okay, what's the next joke? Or like if it's wish fulfillment action, you're like, okay, this is cool.
Step? What's the next power up?
Exactly. What's the next thing? Get you to turn the page? And then they turn the page, and we're in a new series, a new genre, right? We're skipping between tropes and storylines, but somehow the weird energy just keeps going.
Keeps going. He literally just a Chuuni. So what about that scene, the atomic? You said you want to talk about that?
Atomic scene. So, I want to know from you, when you were beginning that scene, so let's if you could jog your mind back to the moment when he puts up the energy shield, right? Because at that point, he's already kind of owned this dude, and he did this before with the other cultist, that he just kind of just played with him and whatever. Now the girl is there, and she's all into him, like, my God, his swordsmanship.
Yeah.
That's all I ever dreamed of. So he won. He won over the girl. Now he's got to take out the bad guy. So put yourself right when the shield goes up. How did you feel about the beats of that scene? Did you feel like his monologue was going to go where it was going?
He's a fucking Chuuni. He's a fucking Chuuni. There was once a man who wished he could withstand a nuclear bomb. He literally talked about himself.
I couldn't, like, in the third person, and then stop talking about himself in the third person.
I was like, this nigga is literally a fucking weeb, like, living his fantasy. And I could not. But then also, it also makes it even worse because he put the shield up and all that shit, and it still destroyed everything around him. So so what the fuck was that even
I don't even know how to describe this.
The only reason, I mean, like, the moment that he started the shit, it made me think like, oh, this it gave me the sense of like a fake granddaughter noble phantasm.
Yes.
Like, I am the bone of my sword. Blah, 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 blah. But because of what he was saying and just who he is as a character, I'm just like, this is so... Nigga, what? Like, it's cool. And, like, I like the... But, like, come on. This is a lot. Like, you really got reincarnated into this world and you were just, like, weaving it the fuck up. Like, he's crazy. We've discussed this. Like, he's crazy. Like, we know that. But... Wow, he really went there. Like, he really went there.
So you gotta also set the scene too, because they're playing like that tense orchestral.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got like the
piano.
They got the piano. They got the violin.
It sounded like JoJo music. The piano.
Yes,
the piano
it was 100% JoJo music. Yeah, 100%. So. He's glowing purple. You've got like the JoJo music in the background. He's got his enemy at his feet, and now he's talking about there was a man who wished to withstand a nuclear bomb, and I'm like, is this nigga narrating his own life? Like, is this why we got that scene in episode like 2, right when he showed up about like, oh, I realized that, like, when I was in the other world, like, no matter what I did, I could never overcome... I thought he was trying to overcome guns. This nigga was like, nah, I'm trying to be big and stronger than a nuclear bomb.
So it just took it to another level of, like, you actually are insane. Like, you just, like, you're insane to a stupidity level. Like, what the fuck?
This dude's like, the man developed his muscles. He honed his mind. He perfected his skills, but at the end of the day, there were heights he couldn't reach. So, okay, all that's insane, but it's also in third person. Then, the very next sentence, he says, me. Fuck that shit. This ain't no fable. I'm talking about myself.
Me.
He says, I. I couldn't allow myself to give up, right? So now it's like the gag of him narrating his own delusion the breaks down, and he just gives in to his, like, in the universe that we are in, because he's saying this out loud, it's not in his head. He just gives up on the pretense that this is like some legend. He's just talking about himself, and he tells this dude that, like, his ultimate goal is, like, if I can't beat the solution to beating a nuclear bomb is to become the nuclear bomb, which is hands down the dumbest thing ever. It is the dumbest.
So stupid.
It makes stupid sense that a stupid person would come up with this idea, but by force of will and happenstance, he has realized this dream off camera, because we didn't see this happen. Yeah. But he's always he said, I don't want to be vaporized in a nuclear explosion, so I'll just become nuclear myself. That's his plan. And then it does, like, the music is swelling. This girl is, like, in the background. What the fuck is going on? And then the moment that everybody hooked onto, this nigga does he was really channeling Zero on this one.
Yeah.
When he puts the sword over his head, does that fancy twirl. It was like, it was, listen, that twirl was extra saucy. I don't know, he must have been practicing that shit. I don't know. And he goes,
he literally made a whole fucking room in that thing. He
had to practice this exact thing.
Yes.
And he goes, I am
But it was
atomic.
so cool.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It was so cool. I just like
it was cool.
When he did the twirl and it made a circle and he went,
yes, the little purple circle.
I was like, oh wow. It's almost like a conductor. Like,
yes.
I'm just like, okay.
He said, let the true meaning of Almighty be carved upon your soul.
The thing is, it's so ridiculous, but I ate it up. I cannot even lie.
It was beautiful.
I ate it up.
It was a beautiful moment, but the question is, but why? But why?
Because that is what this show is gonna be. That's probably the theme of the show. But why? Why is this here? Why are you doing this?
What did it even accomplish?
Yeah, nothing. I feel like Alpha could have dealt with that nigga. Like 100%. So excessive for nothing. Actually, Alpha's scene meant more because she got shit rolling as far as like Shadow Garden. And
she's telling the whole story.
And he's out here playing.
He's playing in the sewers, and all his all-woman army, they're just like
wetting themselves.
They're just like, oh god, like. And to be fair, that's what the audience was doing too. So like, what they managed to pull off is this insane synergy between what the Chuuni audience who would really eat this up would love, what the people like me, and I presume you as well, who are just like, this is a farce, but I'm along for the ride, would love. And then manage to create audience inserts at every level so that the peanut gallery is also the audience as well as the people who want to be this dude is a member of the audience. It's insane. It's fucking insane. I look forward to this show more than anything else every week because I can't imagine what they are doing.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine.
I agree. It's so fucking good. I mean, it definitely has its moments with like, it's not like top tier.
Hell no.
Fucking anime, but like, other than that, it's just good. I think this is the well, can it be like the black sheep or whatever, blah blah, the sleeper hit? I think it might be the sleeper hit compared to all the other like AAA shit that's out.
I think
it's really sleeper because I feel like a lot of people were anticipating it though.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple weeks ago it got a lot of exposure, and it's pretty clear that there was an audience for it before it came out. A lot of people were very aware of the light novel and the manga series. Mm-hmm. So, is it fair to call it a sleeper? I don't know because like I don't think it's like it's not a show that necessarily has like built-in hype to it. Like I still see a lot more from the sort of like My Hero, One Piece, even to some degree Chainsawman, just because it's a little higher brow, even though it's not, but that's the perception. Like, but I think it's carved out a place for itself.
Yeah,
that's definitely true.
Agreed.
So,
yeah.
So I like it. That's all I can say. I like it. It's good.
Let's hit on Bleach real quick, cause holy fucking shit.
They just episode, running through people. This is just running.
That episode today with Yamamoto. Mm-hmm. Bitch.
Yamamoto had me bugging.
That was one of the most that was one of the best looking anime episodes I've seen in my life.
It's fantastic. I mean, you got a taste of it the previous week too.
Oh, I didn't watch the preview.
So he one-shots a guy right before he shows up to this scene.
Oh, yeah. I saw, like at the after credit.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw the after credit last week. Yeah.
But the only thing I really like this episode a lot. I think this is, to me, if I said that 2 weeks ago, the episode where Ichigo fought Jay felt like a old Bleach.
Yeah.
The good parts of it. Mm-hmm. This episode felt like new Bleach and what it can do with this material and the production that they're doing. Because there was a lot of stuff, even just from a production point of view, like how they shot certain scenes, they would not have done in the old show. So this just felt like, this just felt like let's go. Yes,
it felt like what they say, like we're doing movie level quality, blah blah blah. This was like a movie scene, like. Yeah. I could see this in like an anime movie being like one of the climax battles, but holy shit. And then in my head, I'm thinking, well, bitch, why can't Dragon Ball do this? Because if you putting shit out like this, and this is on a weekly schedule, not continuous, but you know, we giving you 12 here, we giving you 3 more 12 cores, and that's it. I'm thinking, bro, we can get this. You have more money than Bleach. You have way more money than Bleach.
Right.
If we can get this from Bleach, then I don't... It honestly, no one else really has an excuse in my mind. But it may take more time for it to come out, but that's okay because we waited for this shit, and this is like actually... It's giving what it gave. It's giving it all.
Well, like the music was here, the animation was here. It was, and not only was the animation here, you could tell that like when they got some other producers to come in for this one, because that fight in the beginning, the animation style was definitely different
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was fucking sick. I wish we'd gotten a little bit more out of the Kenpachi you watch.
Yeah, he kind of just is like pushed to the side.
Yeah, and this was one of the things that I brought up when we were thinking about what they might be able to do with this new season, which is like, we all know 1,000-Year Blood War was very, very squashed together. It was a lot of things were truncated, a lot of action happened off screen, and it was rushed to get to a lot of the major plot points that Kubo wanted to get to. So my hope was that when we got the announcement that it was going to be around 50 episodes dedicated for the, I think is it 70 chapters is the 100-Year Blood War, or is it like 60?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's something like that. But when I heard that, I'm like, okay, great. That leaves some fat that you can chew on if you wanted to like flesh out some of the things that definitely Kubo was thinking about, but was unable to get into the manga in total. But then we actually got the show, and they just started moving at the same breakneck pace through the material. Like, it was, they left things out, but that says a lot when the pacing was already like crazy. So now we're on episode 6, and I feel like we've blown through what could have been like 8 to 10 episodes worth of material. I don't know what it bodes for like some of the fights we did not get in the manga. Like, I'm thinking specifically about Squad Zero getting washed off screen. I don't want that to happen. But this episode was like, well, I guess if they're gonna do it, they can throw all the money into the good shit, because goddamn.
It was phenomenal. It was really fucking good. I was actually shook. I did not think they were gonna go that hard, but it was fan-fucking-tastic.
I'm trying to think, like, what is there to say that's... It's not really story-wise. It's more like... production. It's all production.
It's production, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what niggas want, because it's like, we done... The manga, the core, the material, it had been out for 10 plus years at this point.
Right.
So it's kind of just like, we already know what's going to happen. We're here to see, are you going to put a different twist on it, as far as like what you said, adding in things that were off screen, or are we getting a production just like overhaul? And yeah, we got that shit. It was fantastic. All right, so let's talk about these mecha. Let's talk about Happy Birthday and how this bitch is cursed. Like, I had a feeling, because I was like, she hasn't sung Happy Birthday the entire season.
Nope. And
then the first episode, she sings Happy Birthday multiple times.
Yep.
That's the beginning of, you know, our despair-filled journey. Because that was the thing. I kept thinking about it every week. I was like, this is cute. Gundam High School.
Yeah,
yay,
we were doing something.
But the moment was coming. The moment was coming. And even right before the moment happened, I was like, they're not going to kill that nigga. They're not going to. They killed him.
Well,
killed him.
You thought.
Killed him. And then they were like, get another one ready. I'm like, oh, shit. So the witches are the people who can make Gundams. Is that what it is? Okay. So then the witch from Mercury is Suletta's mother then, I'm assuming. So then...
What does that say?
Well, I mean, she had the mask. So, but the other thing, and I've been seeing so many YouTube theory crafts about this shit, is the 21 years.
Right.
That homegirl mentioned, which doesn't make any sense. Because Suletta is 17.
Right.
So, oh man. And so I'm seeing this fucking theory shopped around that Ariel has Eri in the fucking name. And what I would like, to be honest, I can absolutely see this going that way. But then also the question is, who is Suletta? Where the fuck did she come from? How does she have Aries memories, or parts of Aries memories?
Little parts.
Like, it went left like so subtly. Like it was a very subtle from like the 21, because the 21 years mentioned was at the beginning of the episode, and then
right?
It goes all the way up, and then to the fight, and I'm like, what the fuck is with all these like little kids and the play and the and it's just once they started putting pieces together, and then I went and I rewatched the first opening thing that they did, where like Yasobi song. It was from the first episode, the ending from the first episode, where she's like walking or whatever, and it's like the younger her running, and then the Suletta that we know running, and every time that you see the younger one, she's attached to the Gundam. Like the Gundam is in the same shot as her. She's never alone by herself. It's always with the Gundam, or the Gundam, like it's her, and then the Gundam replaces her face. And I'm like, oh my god, they've been fucking with us from the beginning. Like they've been fucking with us from the beginning. I love it because the tone of the prologue was so dark.
Yes.
So I'm just like, when is it coming? It's coming. I just don't know when, and it's been here the whole time. We just didn't know it. And it's not confirmed, but like...
They put that nigga in an oven. That's all I can say.
Literally no trace. And homegirl was like, please, but... And they were like, girl, fuck out of here. We got like 20 of them.
Right.
I really liked it. I also thought that it was so interesting that they spent all this time. It was like a fake out where they were like, she's gonna get into combat with somebody and they're gonna become her friend and they're gonna join her harem. And they're like, no, niggas, no. Guel is homeless. You out there on the streets, which he's gonna join the Earth House or whatever. So he's gonna be her little confidant. Elan is dead. And now, of course, the next arc is going to be the guy who, like, officiates the fights and shit like that. And he's like, I'm interested in her. I'm like, okay. Just, yeah.
You know who he reminds me? So in the UC Gundam series, there is this recurring theme, depending on sort of what the show is. But so there's Anaheim Electronics, who are kind of like selling. They're the ones who make the Gundam, but they're a dirty ass company that like sells to everybody. So they're usually the cause of the problem, and then also the source of a lot of like the solutions. Tech that solves the problem as well. And so between Zeon and Earth Federation, Anaheim is always like behind both of them in some way or another. And then inside the UC series, there are sort of like third parties. So, one example would be like the Luo company and the Lavia and Rose, which is like, you see it a couple of times in Zeta, which is like this repair ship, but it's kind of independent. And like anytime the good guys get in trouble and they've got to like, you know, hide somewhere and like get their shit fixed and they want to get away from all the major powers, they always wind up somehow involved with Lavia and Rose or whatever else. I wonder if man, I don't remember his name, but like the Middle Eastern guy, the one who's like always... I wonder if his role is to sort of be like that third party that's always in these UC series where like once they kind of get out of the Gundam high school stage, he'll be the one facilitating the good guys or the rebels or whatever you want to call them, what they will be, whatever the opposition is. I wonder.
Yeah.
Because they always have characters that have his vibe. Like, they're kind of playful. They kind of play both sides a little bit. Little pirate, you know, attitude, but suave, attractive, you know, whatever. That's all. They have something like that in a lot of Gundam series. So, I'm curious. But, no, I'm right there with you. A lot of the hints that were dropped in this episode made me recontextualize a whole bunch of shit. And I'm with the prevailing theory that Suletta is not her daughter. Yeah. In fact, my belief is that because remember, they've told, like, the nice thing about this show is that they kind of tell you everything, even though it feels like they're hiding information. Like, they kind of just, they show you. The mom is up to no good, or at least up to her own, you know, revenge plot. We know this is true. We know that there are certain rules and laws that, at least as far as everyone in the universe is concerned, like, you can't really get around. We already know from the prologue, about most of the crazy abilities of the Gundam. We thought we were getting Eri, so that was a nice little bait and switch. But remember we're going back, and I was wondering if about the mother's identity. Well, once they solidified that up, 2 or 3 episodes ago, okay, this is the same woman, etc. Then I was thinking so what does that mean for Soletta? But I didn't have the timeline down. They gave us a timeline here. 21 ain't, what is she, 15?
17.
17?
Okay, yeah.
Got some missing time. And we already know now that, to control these machines without the, whatever the fancy special sauce is in Ariel, that they've been making these basically cyber new types who have fake memories or no memories at all. Just flash clone them. So, and she's from Mercury. Nobody's from Mercury. Nobody knows her. She has no experience in it. I mean, they're laying it out there for us.
Oh my god! Which means, oh my god! So she's a clone. Oh, okay. Because
they're laying it out there for us.
Yeah. Just
why? Because again, and that would make sense, right? Because if Ariel only responds to Eri, and something happened to Eri.
Why is he
get the clone? Same
yeah.
brain.
Oh my god. Oh fuck, man. So it's Gundam. It's fucking Gundam. It's Gundam. It's Gundam.
So we already literally put one kid in an oven, and we're on episode 6.
6? Yeah, we got a ways to go. Because I feel like this is probably not going to end at 24. They're probably going to do a season 2.
I'd love for that to happen, but even if it doesn't, even if, we want to get through the high school shit, episode 12, take a break, come back, do a time skip.
War.
We got plenty of time to do this. We've already had one time skip already. We can do another one.
We need more people to lose.
And the great part is that they fucked with us via that time skip.
Yeah.
Because we all just thought that they got right back to the shits.
We really thought, oh, she grew up and blah, blah, blah. And then...
Nah, nigga. And you should put 2 and 2 together, right? Because, you knew her name was Eri. We all knew that.
Yeah.
And she's coming in under an assumed name, and she's a pretty earnest individual. Didn't seem like she's out here spying.
And she doesn't seem aware of any of her mother's plots or anything
of
the sort. She just thinks, oh, I'm just going to this school. I can't wait. I was actually really disappointed that there was no new episode this week because I was like, I need more. I was like, I cannot wait to put these pieces the fuck together.
Here's a fun question. What's on Mercury?
Something. Listen. Whatchamacallit? The old woman, the professor, she probably uploaded her brain or consciousness to something, and that's why the Gundam is able to do what the fuck it's able to do over there. They continued the research on Mercury in some
very interesting to me, because remember she's in the episode 5, I think, where she's talking about what is her dream or her motivation, and she starts talking about oh, I want to go back to Mercury and build a school. And I'm like, girl, what do you think is on Mercury?
And that's going to be a big reveal. We don't even know what the fuck is on Mercury.
How about the episode eventually, maybe next year, where she goes back thinking that it's going to be all of her friends that she remembers are the people there.
And those were implanted memories.
And those are just implanted memories, and it's just a big robotic factory or some crazy shit out there with a bunch of clones of Eri.
I would literally not be surprised. They're probably oh my god, they're making a Gundam army with Eri clone. Oh shit, man.
Imagine the horror of having to kill yourself.
Off the cliff.
Yeah, of having to murder yourself hundreds of times.
She wouldn't even have to be a new type at that point. You just gonna go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Oh my god, so Elan's whole arc is a foreshadowing for what it. Oh my goodness.
We got these. We got. Before I was like, yeah, send all these billionaire niggas to outer space. I'm like, no, don't send them there. Keep them here, locked up. Lock them all up.
Are you sure Tamino wasn't on this shit? Because, like,
before they baked a child alive, yeah, I was pretty sure. Now I'm like, oh, this is right in line with what he'd be up to. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very Tamino twist.
Literally just, like, sprawled out, singing happy birthday.
Yeah.
Singing happy birthday. But I'm loving it. I was waiting for it. I've been asking for it, and now it's like a snowball effect. It's like who, what, where, when, how, and what how is that gonna affect the future of this alternate universe? And I want those Gunpla. I need them Gunpla like ASAP. I gotta find them somewhere.
Shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Shit is crazy.
This is actually very like reassuring because I wasn't worried, but I was just like really questioning when is that tone that we got from the prologue coming back? Cause like that's what hooked my ass. I was like, yo, the prologue, that shit was good. It was really good. And they're like, just patience, bitch. Like it's coming. It's gonna be worse than the prologue. It's coming. So, yeah, it's great. Gundam High School is not all what we thought it was going to be.
Gundam High School is probably not even really Gundam High School when we're all said and done. We're just having fun right now, but I'm waiting for them gloves to come off for real.
Yeah. I wonder what ChuChu's mecha is going to be like. Is she going to get
ChuChu was lounging and relaxing in this episode.
Yep. Yeah, and they keep showing the fortune teller girl stuff, so I'm like, this is definitely gonna be important in some form or fashion. She gonna say some sideways shit that's gonna come back around like in the next season, and it's gonna be like, well, they told your ass. Oh well.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Guel getting disinherited.
I mean, I saw it coming. Like they did tell him, they were like, bruh, if you do this shit, like dad's gonna be extremely pissed. But also I thought it was bitch. Well, they're rich as fuck, so of course so. But I thought the butler was a little too like happy slappy with like disowning.
Yeah, bro, nigga, you still make minimum wage. What are you talking all big and bad for?
You taking a lot of pleasure in telling this nigga he's disowned. I was like, you nigga, you ain't even related to that.
I was like, you talking real big and bad right now.
Yeah. The brother is definitely not going to be up to Guel's standards, or I could see him becoming warped because of like, the sense of duty and like him getting a big head, and then he and Guel having to go at it eventually and be like, oh, I beat you without Guel Enterprises shit.
Maybe,
because,
but they get along too. That's the other part, is that they're not antagonistic towards each other.
But that would make it more entertaining.
I agree.
To be like the brothers going against each other because Guel has literally picked up, like he's on the path to like a different mindset, like altogether than what he's known forever, and that's but reinforced in the brother at the same time. And then the brother is now even more so on that path because he's the head,
right? Like the sort of double inferiority complex.
Yeah.
And then, like, you left me alone with Dad. Look what they made me do.
Oh my God, like Maki and May. Like, why did you leave me? Oh, why didn't you stay at the bottom with me? Like, oh, bitch, that line.
Right.
Maki and May from the season now. I don't know. Y'all don't tell me shit about what's going on with them. Don't tell me shit.
It's hard not to, because it's the illest shit on planet Earth.
I mean, well, I had to block someone on Twitter because homeboy was making like t-shirts of Maki's new form, and I was like, God damn it, I want to see this shit myself. Like,
no. Whatever you saw doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because when the moment happens, it's just.
Okay.
It's not gonna matter. Like, so you're worried about stuff that's over here. Yeah.
In 4 years, I will know the moment. 5.
This is at the level of it's probably bigger than like and from my personal opinion, just the way that it was drawn out. You remember in early in the Naruto run when Sasuke got the Sharingan, he has that moment in the anime when they're in the Chunin exam, where he's fighting Orochimaru and he's like, I can see, and they do the close in on his eyes, and they're just like, they actually animated the fuck out of that shit, and you're like, damn, this show could actually be hype. What Maki does is like take that kind of energy and then multiply it by like at least 1,000.
What?
Yes.
1,000?
Because they get the right. There's a big emotional thing that happens. It's connected to a long running storyline that we're all invested in. It it's hitting you with the philosophy. It's hitting you with the martial arts. It's hitting you with the catharsis of her overcoming literally everything. When they get there, don't worry about no damn t-shirt. Don't worry. Don't worry about the t-shirt. You will be just fine.
Okay. Let me file that away.
But you ain't gonna see that for another 3 years. So
yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not this next season.
It's not gonna be in the next season.
It came out in chapters this year. So,
yes.
Yeah,
so minimally, we're talking like at least 3 years.
Yeah.
At least.
But hey, I mean,
it'll be good. It'll be good.
To it. I mean, wait, is the next season January? Is that already coming?
Supposed to be.
Yeah, wow.
We're getting the whole Shibuya incident, I think, end to end. So they may have to split it.
Didn't you say there was like a Gojo Gaiden or something?
Yeah. So I think that they're going to. This is going to piss people off. They're probably going to do like 3 episodes on. Well, they could probably get into 2. They could get it down to like 2 episodes for like the. I think it's technically called the 5-star. 5-star something vessel, heavenly vessel.
Oh, I think that's on the promotional material. It's like half of it's Shibuya and half of it's like 5-star something.
Yeah, so I think that they could do that in 3 episodes if they needed to, because it's only 5 or 6 chapters.
Okay.
My memory serves me correctly. But then, no matter what their plan is, they're gonna have to cut the Shibuya incident off in half, and because they're not gonna be able to fit everything they go. Well, they could in 9. There's just so much hot shit, man. I'm trying to think like what's the right.
Oh,
cut
and they're
point.
not doing 24 again. They're only gonna do 12.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of in just terms of the season. I don't know if that 24 episodes is back to back.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It could be, but it's already gotten delayed. My hope is that all the delays have allowed them to hit their marks, and we could just go, 6 months straight, get right through it. That would be the best. That would be awesome.
I need them to do something, because I want to see what everyone's talking about with this Hell's Paradise thing. Like, we still don't have a date for that.
Yeah, I'm getting a little worried about that project, because I think that it had even less buzz than Chainsawman does, and certainly does not have the existing fan base. It's a good series. A lot of people now know about it, but I have that feeling where it's like we saw teasers a year ago.
Yeah,
probably about a year ago.
Yeah,
and then now here we are staring down the barrel of 2023 with no evidence that this series is going to run until maybe the summer. Maybe. So I don't know. They got to heat it up somehow. Because again, it could be a multi-year thing, but if it doesn't do well this first year, it's very expensive. So I don't know. Maybe Netflix can pay for it or something.
I mean, we seeing what Netflix money does for fucking Chainsaw. Wait, is Netflix Chainsaw? No, Chainsaw's not all Netflix.
No,
but it's part Netflix.
Yeah, it's just part. But they did say there was a article out that a lot of these studios, like Studio Wit,
that they're happy with the collaborations overseas. Yeah, I saw that.
So that's good news,
I
mean, I don't know how
is
strong that
Summertime
connects.
Rendering even still streaming it in the US yet? Like,
that's a great question. I don't know.
Because I heard that I think Disney Plus was keeping it, but I don't even know if they released all of it yet.
You know what though? Everything related to Disney Plus's anime offerings is so awkward that I don't even know what to expect, because I still cannot believe the stuff that they have put on their network so far under that umbrella.
I mean, with Black Rock alone.
I was in actual shock
to come out the gate with that.
Come out the gate with episode 1, there was a rape scene.
I remember you talking about it in depth about just
just right. I mean, like it was I mean, there's parts of it that were entertaining. I don't think it's a very good show, but like I didn't finish watching that shit, and it wasn't because of the content, but like that's not something I think like Disney. It'd be one thing if Disney's like, yo, we bought this and we're just like airing it. Disney is in the actual real embedded credits, like the Japanese credits. So I don't know how you like. No one said anything about it, so I guess it just flew under the radar. But I don't know.
Oh, is there any other news? I mean, we already transitioned into news already. Is there anything else that's catching your eye? Because I don't really have any news.
No, not especially. Yeah.
Okay. Well then, I'll just go ahead and get my recommendation out of the way. Watch Dragon Prince, everyone. I didn't recommend that, did I? I thought we talked about it.
We have loosely discussed it here and there.
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? No, I'll take that back. I'll save that for another week. Everyone, go listen to the Persona Q2 original soundtrack. Mm-hmm. That is one of the, I don't know if it's the first, but it is one of the main soundtracks that Shoji Meguro is actually not the lead composer on. It's actually someone else. And Shoji Meguro basically composed all of your favorite Persona songs. Like, all of them. Like, he is the reason behind the sound of Persona 3, 4, 5. Mm-hmm. 6 is up in the air because he left Atlas and he's a consultant / freelancer now. But he still is working with them on multiple projects that have already been working. So, Persona Q2. A lot of people didn't even get into Persona Q. Do you know what Persona Q is?
I do. Is it a mobile game?
It's a 3DS labyrinth crawler. And it's basically based off the Etrian Odyssey series.
Yeah. Like okay. I do know of that game. Yes. Yeah. And that lineage. Yeah.
So it's that with like a Persona skin, but as with everything with Atlas and Persona, they basically were just like, yeah, this is Etrian Odyssey's, like base, but this is Persona, and we're like making it Persona. So each one has like, original soundtracks, different takes on songs. And then Persona Q2 is an amalgamation of Persona 4, 5, and 3, and Persona 3 FES with the female lead.
So also have the characters in it as like guests, or is it part of the story?
No, everyone's part of the story. Even the female MC from 3, like they bring her story into it. So that she meets, like, Makoto or whatever, male protagonist from 3. So there are 4 main characters, whatever, and you literally, like, you get to pick from all the Persona characters from those games to, like, use in your party. So they're, like, supports. You get 5 people in your party at a time. And it's a dungeon crawler. So it's, like, if you're familiar with dungeon crawlers and, like, the party makeup, it's very similar. But the OST, they went so fucking hard for this OST. And one of my favorite things about it, and it was previewed at the like Persona P Live Bomb concert, I think in like 2017, where the main singers for each of the series, they had like a mashup in that concert, and everyone lost their mind because they like layered all these songs on top of each other, like I'm a Shapeshifter, and Signs of da 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 da. Like they layered that, and then the Persona 3 song, I Never Felt Like da 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 da.
Oh, I love that.
So they layered all 3 of those over each other at the concert, and it was amazing. And I was just like, holy shit! Like I never even would have thought you could mix these up, but it Shoji Meguro. It was his music. What they took this like way further in PQ2. And, like, they lived, like, those 3 are, like, on so many songs together and individually. They literally have one song that evolves as you play the game. So, at first, it's solo with Lynn. And then
that's so cool. That's a great concept.
Yeah. The OST for the game is amazing. You can just listen to the whole OST by itself, especially the vocal tracks. And it's just, like, that's an album. Like, it's so fucking good. But it's so forgotten and I feel like looked over because it's on 3DS. And it was one of the last titles of the 3DS's life cycle. So, if you have the time, look it up. Go look up the Persona Q2. If anything, look up the battle themes. Because each series has a brand new battle theme in the fucking game. Like, it's good, including the female MC. Look up that. Look up Colorful World, Behind the Mat, like, all of it. Fucking oh, and they bring Lotus Juice. Lotus Juice is, like, on every fucking song.
Oh, that's so cool.
But they love that nigga. So, of course he is. He never sounds bad, though. So, like, it's perfect. But yeah, that's my recommendation. Go get you some music. It's great. It's a great work, like, background music, etc., etc. All the tracks aren't amazing because it is, like, a dungeon die crawler thing. So, a good chunk of them are instrumentals, and then some of them are like different takes. When they have music for when you just talk to a boss one time, and then you never hear that piece again. Like, the track list is crazy, but it's all really fucking good. So it gives me hope for the future of Persona, like, music, because that's one of the most iconic parts of it. And so you get that with the new composers, or they were trying a new person. I think Shoji, like, did he I think he still consulted with that person or, like, oversaw it. But that other guy basically was still, like, in charge of it. I forgot his name. But, yeah, Persona 6. It's almost time for Persona 6. It's almost 10 years. So, wait,
I'm ready.
Years. 8 years. I think it's 8
so
years.
I kind of do have a recommendation this week. One I had forgotten about. I meant to talk about it earlier in the month when I ran across it. So in my endless quest to find the absolute bottom of the webtoon genre, I sometimes stumble over things that are actually pretty fucking good. And one of those is a series called LAG. It's an acronym, but you can just call it LAG. And there's a lot of things I like about the series. So you could think of it as sort of a death game. You could think of it as sort of like a type of player series, but it does a lot of things that I wish more adult-themed webtoons would do. So first of all, main character is a grown-ass adult, no kids, no backstory, we don't know how things in the world turn out the way they did, but he's stuck in this labyrinth. It's not a tower, and he's not going up, he's going down. And he has been in a time loop, reliving his own life hundreds of thousands of times, where he is died every way you can die. He's died of boredom. He's died of starvation. He's done the whole I want to be the hero thing and died. He's made friends and had them betray him and die. So when we meet him, he is convinced that it doesn't even matter if he goes insane, because if he goes insane, he'll just die and come back before he was insane, but knowing that he will go insane again. So he's more or less given up hope of doing anything correctly, living a full life, whatever else. We actually watch him at the end of one of his loops trying to get out of this dungeon, have all of his friends murdered, and it's not like a revenge story. He's at the point where he doesn't really care, if people if people betray him, doesn't really fucking matter, because he's seen it all before. And
do those people get set back also, or do they have death?
And that's the thing. He could meet the same person 500 times, and they could be a very different person every time.
Oh.
But so he thinks he's pretty sure he's the only one who can remember what's going on. So he dies, he comes back, and in the very first room that he always wakes up in, something is different. There's an extra door. Usually you have to choose between two doors every time you go down, and there's an extra door this time, and that's where the story kicks off. The thing I like about LAG is that this series does not shy away from presenting you with a legitimate sociopath. Like, there's no effort taken to either make Lee's character particularly redeemable, nor do they go over the top and just make him a comic villain for no good reason. He just doesn't trust people and knows that people are disposable, and the story teaches you, the audience, that people are disposable, because on multiple occasions it goes out of its way to trick you into thinking like, oh, this time's going to be different, and then it kills 99% of the people that are there, such that he like the companions that he has in like by the third chapter are all dead by chapter 12. Every one of them is dead, and especially the cute girl, the hot woman, get horrible deaths. Absolutely horrific deaths, over and over and over and over again. And it's the art style is really cool. The action choreography is really cool. He has a lot of restrictions. So it's not necessarily one of those series where the main character, because of foreknowledge, is able to just like, own every challenge. Most of the time when he gets through a situation, it's like, we survived, not we won. And it has a lot of like, it brings in a lot of vibes from like classic death game movies. And a lot of the challenges and the tests are kind of ripped straight out of those types of film, that canon. So for example, there's a challenge where, very similar to Squid Game, you have to play a kind of red light, green light to get across a room. But the twist is that there's a demon in the middle of the room that wants to make eye contact with you, and you cannot blink. Wow, if you blink, you lose a challenge, you die instantly. Like, because it'll just fuck you up. Can't fight it, you're not going to win, you just die. And so you go into that situation thinking that this little part of the story is going to be about how, our main character is so smart and he knows how to get through all the challenges, and then the people just have to listen to him and the team will survive. And very quickly, it disabuses you of that notion completely. And this is the reason why he doesn't care about people. Because even if you do everything right, this twisted game is going to kill you. So just don't get invested. And it's great. I've enjoyed it. It's about 50 chapters. They have some really cool power archetypes. Some really cool characters. Sadly, that most of them don't stick around. Some pretty horrible and depressing deaths where like you're really into something and then they'll just kind of like a glancing blow from an enemy that you've seen 100 times just kill somebody that you're like, oh, I really like that character. Damn. So they're just gone. And some heartbreaking shit too. So yeah. Lag. Lag.
Okay. Well, shit, that sounds interesting. I love, Labyrinth. Okay, I still gotta get into Ember Knight.
Ember Knight's great, and I think I confirmed that Luminous Scans took it over, and I think they took it over from chapter 1. So there's a good translation out there, because that was my only hesitation on recommending it, is that the Google Translate version makes understanding the lore and the world very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult, but I went back and just checked, and I think Luminous Scans did it from chapter 1, and it makes sense. And also, I forgot to mention that it is technically in the same universe as Gilgamesh, which is a very long-running manhwa, but there's like one character or two. There's like two character crossovers, but like you don't need to have read Gilgamesh to understand Ember Knight at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Tokyo Underground? Is that still going?
Yeah, so Tokyo Underground I think is somewhere like 16 to 20 chapters. I'm not reading it weekly.
Oh, okay.
But I think that part of the reason is because I read the first 3 and I'm like, ooh, this is really good. I want to get to it when it's like
end of an arc.
Yeah. From what I understand, it's actually done pretty well. In the online circulation, I think 1 volume is out.
Okay.
And it's done pretty good. The fear is always like a series like this with like really good art, a compelling premise, dark themes, may just fucking get canceled in year 1. So, should you invest or not? I actually really liked it right out the gate. It didn't have to do much to convince me to get on board with it. So, I would hold it up. I think at the time I said it wasn't really a recommend because there's only like there were only 3 chapters at the time, but it's doing good. At least like user, what do you call it? Like
user rating or something.
Yeah, the user poll, whatever the thing they use to like figure out the rankings.
Yeah,
like it's doing fine. So I don't expect that it's going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, I would also probably say go back to that now if you're interested in a death game, very like more classic death game, with some supernatural elements to it. But Lag is good. Lag is caught me by surprise. Was not realizing what I was getting myself into, and then very quickly, and also the main character like changes his outfit, which it's a little thing, but I really appreciate that. Like you're not staring at the same shit for, you know, the same character design that they came up with one time. Like, as stuff happens to him, I'll put it that way, he has to change up his looks and change up what he's doing. And there's some really cool fights also. I mean, I didn't want to bury the lead, but like, he's not always running from everything. There are some like really interesting, fairly complex combat encounters that have great, like, the art style is sort of somewhere in between like an American graphic novel and a more traditional manhwa. So you kind of have, I don't know, it makes for a very cool aesthetic. So yeah, that's what I got.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, that's it for this week then.
Yep.
If you have not already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you are watching this on YouTube, especially comment down below. You know, let us know your thoughts, etc., etc. Especially if you're watching a short, because you probably came here from a YouTube short. So, like, let us know if the YouTube short actually, like, caught your attention if you liked it. But you can also find us at anime_savants on Twitter, and then just regular anime savants on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and just, you know, on any podcast platform, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, all of it. Give us a rating if you got a moment also.
Yep, you can hit me up online at Neural Handshake. You know, this is not necessarily podcast related, but my timeline's been jumping with respect to the Kanye West situation.
What do you do now?
No, just in general. Just in general.
I have his name muted. So unless someone like screenshots his tweet or whatever, I don't see any. Oh God! Like,
because Dave Chappelle did a whole thing, and then people.
Oh no!
And then people wanted to like interpret it the way they want to interpret it, and I wrote up an explainer.
Kanye said he was gonna shut up? Didn't he? He literally said he was gonna be quiet, and then he broke it like 16 minutes later.
But he did a good one. So he actually had a 15-minute monologue where he read Kanye out, but. Because it's Dave Chappelle, and because he approached it the way Dave Chappelle approaches things, which is, you know, you got to give credence to the claim before you take it down. A lot of people only listen to like the first minute and decided things and didn't listen to the other 14 minutes. So, yeah.
Well.
But I got some bangers off, so, you know, I'm not feeling too bad. I'm just saying, I'd like to see some anime feedback to wash the taste of Kanye, Kyrie, and Dave out of my timeline.
I'm so fucking tired of them.
And also, shout out to Joe Freshest for burning through all of Bleach.
Oh my God, Joe's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I think he's going full time YouTube now, so.
Good for him.
Yeah, congratulations on that. I think, is this his last week? Or maybe last week was his last week. But congratulations on going full time. That's a milestone that a lot of people wish they could get to, and they never will. So, continue your grind, but I know your eyes hurt. My God. Like, doof.
And I like Bleach, but he did it in like 2 weeks?
Yeah, like... Yeah, but he gets to start 1,000 Year Blood War arc, so that's gonna be a huge boost to his channel, anyways. Okay, we can talk about this.
We can. Yes, we can.
Bye, y'all. All right.